that there's an optimal level of how much screen you should use, right? And as Antonio mentioned, Dr. Hara mentioned, family meals is something very important. This is associated with plenty of benefits: reduction of eating disorders, reduction of aggression, well-being, etc. So having a rule of no phones at the table, right? That's important. Yes. And I always say that's kind of probably the number one rule that the 4 members of our family comply the most. All the other ones, we break them every once in a while. Yes. But with that one, we're pretty good. Except today, no. But well, we had actually this discussion. Hey, I'm going to present about this. We should not be using the phones now.
At least for today.
Yeah. Okay. So unplugged time is important, right? Playing with your kids, right? How many of you play with your kids video games, right? Well, we're talking about spending quality time, do it with them. You will see how challenging this is, right? And you're training lots of cognitive skills. Sometimes even more training, that they get more training from these video games than some classes at school. Yes.
One problem with playing with your kids is that very quickly they start beating you on a regular basis.
They get bored of playing with us. Dad, you're horrible at FIFA. Yeah, I know. Okay. Now, here is this Goldilocks hypothesis, right? We tend to think initially that every minute of screen time was replacing something valuable from our lives, right? So the more screen time you play, the worse, right? Like a linear relationship. What we know now is that there's this optimal level, and there's too little and too much. Why too little? Take out all the electronic device of your child today, and they won't connect with their generation. They won't play, they won't chat, right? They won't know what's going on with the kids. 80% of the children, when they meet for the first time, first thing that they talk about is video games, right? So you're gonna be completely left out of what's going on in society, right? Many kids reported feeling supported by others in social media platforms, right? But we only hear the negative side, right? And of course, there's the too much also.
The other thing, and it's video game when kids are young. For teenagers, they don't ask anymore for phone numbers or emails. It's Instagram. So very quickly, they would communicate with each other via Instagram.
So here you have, this is a study by Andrew Przewski. If you can pronounce that name correctly, there's an award at the end of the presentation. It's from the Oxford Internet Institute. I really like the science that they do because they kind of move away from this moral panic. Every time that there was a new technology in the history of parenthood, there was a panic. With horror shows in the radios, with comics, there was a lot of research about how comics were bad for kids. Then TV, then video game. Video game is associated with violence. Now there's plenty of research showing that that's not the case, right? And now it's social networks, all right? So here is what they presented. This is a summary. This is a study done with adolescents 15 years old, right? As you see here, you have TV is the first graph. If you play video games, 0 hours of video game, your well-being is going to be the same as someone that plays 7 hours of video game. This is a study done with like 5,000 adolescents in UK, right? So one thing is the statistic, one thing is your child, right? But this is a general number that says, okay, well, it's not necessarily bad to play video games, right? Then here you have for computer, for smartphone. For smartphone, the level between wellness and not doing any smartphone and is usually like around 2 hours. I can show you another graphs later, right? But 2 hours a day. And this is split between weekdays and weekends. And weekends, you're usually more flexible. There's more time, right?